It's been a little bit of time since A New Legacy came out, enough time for me to digest it, get indigestion, and take some Tums. Hi, my name is Kyrie and welcome to Flights of Fantasy, the show where we look at different sci-fi and fantasy movies and ask, what do they mean? And today we're going to be talking about A New Legacy, and if it sounds like I'm not excited to talk about it, it's because I'm not. So a little while ago I made a big video about Space Jam and, how nostalgic I was about it, and how I really wasn't looking forward to the sequel because I thought it was just going to be Warner Brothers, slapping their big old properties in everybody's faces. And I was correct. But the problem when you have like rock bottom expectations for a movie is that even being very mediocre can surpass them. So all this to say, Space Jam: A New Legacy wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So let's talk about it. If you're somebody who has not seen Space Jam: A New Legacy, maybe it's been a little while, or maybe you just repressed that part of your summer, this recap is for you. A New Legacy starts out with a scene from LeBron James' childhood, where he is enamored with a video game but is quickly told that he needs to focus on basketball. And so he does, and he's very successful, as we see through the title card montage of him being good at basketball and winning lots of things. At LeBron James's place, we meet LeBron James's sons, Damian and Dom. LeBron has been training them and trying to get them to be really good basketball players the same way that he was, but the younger son, Dom, isn't really interested in that. He doesn't really like basketball. His passion really lies in making video games. In fact, he's made a basketball video game that's acquired something of a little online following, which is really impressive for a kid of his age. We're then thrown into like this headquarters, basement, secret lair type place of Warner Brothers, where the villain of our movie, Al-G Rhythm, is gearing up for some sort of big presentation. Al-G's motivations are that he's tired of people not appreciating him, which is relatable, and he's going to debut this big new tech, and LeBron James, algorithmically speaking, is more than an athlete. He's like the key to this plan all working out. Yeah, so anyway, LeBron is trying to convince Dom to go to this basketball camp that's at the same time as this one programming video game boot camp. LeBron James is not good at video games and thus struggles to see the value in it, especially when there's a glitch that pops up that basically ends up crashing and deleting a character in the game. LeBron ends up taking Dom to Warner Brothers as they're pitching him to be in a series of films and video games using this new technology that can download his image and then upload him inside different movies. LeBron rightly decides that it's not really for him. The two studio executives, of course, blame the stupid AI for coming up with this stupid idea. Al-G is not happy with this development at all. He's enraged, actually. Dom and LeBron end up having a big argument. They end up getting off on the wrong floor of the Warner Brothers lot into the top secret layer basement type deal, and then they are uploaded into the serververse. So there, Al-G predictably takes Dom prisoner and says, LeBron, I'm gonna beat you at your own game. We're gonna play basketball, but you gotta come up with your own team. If you win, I'll give you your son back. And then he ships him off to Looney Tune land. I think what bothers me the most about the way this scene was set up is bad writing. It's like during the scene, all the screenwriters were sitting down in a room and they were like, okay, so in this scene, we need Al-G to challenge LeBron James to a basketball game, and then LeBron James is going to be shipped off to Looney Tune land because this is a Space Jam movie and that's what happens in Space Jam. And it seems like all the other screenwriters were like, yeah, let's do that. Except they just don't. They just took the outline and were like, This scene could have been interesting. Al-G sees that Dom and LeBron are having this big argument, and he totally could have played off of that. It could have been set up in a way that Al-G brought Dom here to the serververse so that way Dom could utilize his really cool technology into whatever projects he wants to work on. And LeBron being like, no, we're not doing this, let's go home. That way Dom sides with Al-G naturally, and Al-G's like, why don't we give your old man a chance? How about he can come up with his own basketball team or whatever, and you and I can go and work on X, Y, and Z. And then at the basketball game, we'll see what happens, or something along those lines. You could set up Al-G as manipulating Dom right then and there, rather than, oh, LeBron, I got your son, play basketball, or you're not getting out of here. So LeBron James is shipped off onto Looney Tune land, where a Near deliriously lonely Bugs Bunny is the only toon there on the planet. And it comes out that Algae had kind of come to the toons and encouraged them all to split off and explore different lands, so Bugs is the only one left. So Bugs embarks on a journey with LeBron James to go through a bunch of different movies and shows and whatnot and collect all the Looney Tunes, so that way they can play basketball again. It's funny to me that the events of the original Space Jam are treated as canon and treated as like, oh, we're doing this again? Kinda gag. I thought that was funny. Meanwhile, Algae and Dom kind of talk about the things that Dom is interested in and how LeBron doesn't really take it serious or try to really understand it. And so Algae gives Dom the opportunity to make what becomes the Goon Squad, and then it's game time, where real people are sucked into the serververse to watch the game, as well as like all of the properties of Warner Brothers in the background. And Algae, I guess not really cemented as enough of a villain, announces at the beginning of the game that if he wins, everybody in the stadium and the tunes are just going to be deleted, or they're going to be stuck in the serververse forever. So the opposing team is doing a lot of different tricks, and they are cheating because this isn't just a normal basketball game, it's off of video game rules, like Dom's video games rules. So by halftime, the tunes are down significantly. And after a pep talk by Michael B. Jordan, the tunes go back out there, and after some shenanigans, some entertaining, others not so much, the tunes have basically caught up. As the tunes continue to catch up in points, Algae's facade drops to the point where he's just downright yelling at Dom. Dom and his father end up making up. Dom joins the Toon Squad. Algae comes in as a player. Dom remembers the glitch that caused the character to get deleted and caused the game to crash. And that's what Bugs Bunny ends up doing because stakes, raise them. So Algae is deleted, everybody is freed from the serververse, and it seems as though Bugs Bunny is dead. Oh no. LeBron ends up letting Dom go to his computer programming camp instead of basketball camp. Bugs Bunny shows up in the real world, and that's the end. That's the movie. Now, instead of just dumping on A New Legacy and pretending like there's no redeeming qualities about it, I decided it'd be more fun to make a pros and cons list. So let's start with pros. Pros. I laughed more in A New Legacy than I did in the original Space Jam. There were more funny one-liners, there were more witty observations.
I saw you back there in that boardroom through some camera phones and a printer and a fax machine and a thermostat.
Pro, the 2D section was fun. It was kind of what I expected. Pro, I think the 3D translation of the tunes, for the most part, except for the rabbit characters. For some reason, the rabbit characters didn't quite make it out of the Uncanny Valley for me. But all the rest of the other 3D characters, like, I thought they were good translations. I thought they were interesting. Here's one that's a pro and a con. There were a lot of references that I knew, and I enjoyed those. That's a pro, but it's also a con. So let's put a pin in that. Pros, Don Cheadle. I enjoyed Don Cheadle. Whoever did the wardrobe for him, I loved his wardrobe. I thought that was super fun. Pro, the special effects were pretty cool. There's a lot of CGI in this movie, and I thought that could have been really easy to screw up, but I think the visual effects are good, pretty decent, yeah. Now let's talk about cons. Let's go back to that pin. So the first con that I have is actually more of a question. Who did they make this movie for? Because I don't think they know. Are you trying to appeal to the 20 and 30-year-olds who saw the original Space Jam and made that a cult classic? Or are they trying to appeal to a younger audience to kind of get a whole new generation into this idea of Space Jam? You gotta pick one to do really well and then the other one just to nod to. If you try to do both, you're not gonna be very successful. You're just going to come off as inauthentic and cringy. Con number 2 is that the writing is lazy. There are some good moments with the writing. There are some snappy lines that make me laugh, but everything you need to know about the movie, you could see in a trailer. Going in having seen some of the trailers for Space Jam: A New Legacy, I knew what was going to happen in every scene before the scene really got started. I knew that that first scene was going to be, okay, LeBron is going to be challenged to a basketball game and then he's going to be shipped off to find the Looney Tunes. And he was. And that proceeded for the entire rest of the movie. And that's honestly a shame because I think the themes of A New Legacy could have been a lot stronger than the original. Bugs Bunny and his toon struggle could have been a great reinforcement of the theme of when you grow up, sometimes you don't have the same interests as your friends or your family, But that's okay. They're still your friends. Your dad is still your dad, even if you want to pursue video games instead of basketball the way that he did. Growing apart as you grow older. I think that could have been a theme that was hit a lot harder and made more of an impact. But they don't really do a good job at illustrating it. It's more of a, here's the theme, okay. And I think the relationship between LeBron and Dom, while it was obviously a focus of the movie, I think it could have been handled a lot better. It could have been done really easily just by changing some things and understanding the motivation and how the characters should respond in these scenes. Like in the scene where Algie is yelling at Dom and being just straight up verbally abusive towards him, why on earth would LeBron James not step in? Why wouldn't that be a moment that reinforces the, I don't care if you're on a different side of this basketball game or of this theoretical debate of what you should do, you're still my son and nobody gets to talk to you that way because I'm your dad and I'm here for you. That would have been such an easy change, but instead LeBron just watches Algie yell at Dom. That didn't make any sense to me. We would also probably need to include a scene where Bugs Bunny talks to the rest of the Toons about how hurt or how abandoned or anxious it made him feel that everybody went off to pursue their own thing and how he felt like he was being left behind. And then we would need probably Lola to explain, well, just because I'm doing my own thing doesn't mean that we're not friends. And I'm sorry if it felt like I was ignoring you or that I just forgotten all about you, but I'm pursuing my own thing and it's something that I really like and I think I'm really good at it. You know, just some sort of scene to resolve that conflict, because as is, the conflict doesn't really go anywhere. All we get instead is Bugs feeling abandoned, Bugs gets the gang back together, and then Bugs sacrifices himself. But it's fine at the end because everyone's finally together. Woo! It felt very bittersweet and it didn't feel resolved at all. It just felt kind of weird. I think the problem with all this lazy writing is really just the missed opportunities. Making an algorithm the villain of a movie is very interesting, but I hate the way that they went about it. They made it more of a, I don't get appreciated enough, when they could have explored how this is an AI made by people to appeal to people. Like, this isn't just some random evil robot. It's really easy to blame an algorithm. Like for YouTube or Facebook, or it's very easy to, oh, well, their algorithm is just bad nowadays. And its only goal is to make sure that we keep scrolling no matter how divided or angry or polarized it makes us. It's very easy to blame an algorithm instead of the people who put the algorithm into place and haven't fixed it or haven't changed it. It's very funny to me that Warner Brothers comes off as if they're being very self-aware with those studio executives in the beginning. Oh my gosh, studio executives, they are just eager to please to the point of being creatively bankrupt. Hee hee, isn't that so funny? Aren't we so quirky? It kind of gives me the same feeling that I had when I saw a video of a robot completing a CAPTCHA. It made me go, huh, that's interesting. And then it made me go, them being painfully unaware of how their constant brand pushing and property placement, it's not even products, it's just property placement, shoving it in your face. It's ironic. Going into watching A New Legacy, I wasn't excited about it because I didn't think it would live up to Space Jam. But it's actually kind of done the opposite, to where it has shown me Space Jam isn't that good. And A New Legacy actually does a lot of things a lot better than the original, which makes me feel bad about both of them now, honestly. I went into New Legacy thinking like, wow, what a cheap money grabber movie. Like, ugh, how obvious this is just being made to make money. But Space Jam was just made to make money too. It was a movie made to sell sneakers, for crying out loud. It's a lot easier for people to sniff out the greedy nature of sequels because they don't have the benefit of novelty. To put it another way, the original might just be as skeezy and money-grubbing as the sequels that we detest, but because it's something that we haven't seen before, we're more likely to get distracted, and we're more likely to turn off the critical, skeptic parts of our brains. I found it really easy to be extremely critical towards even the idea of a sequel to Space Jam, because I see pieces of my childhood being mined again and again and again in increasingly less creative ways. Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, Shark Boy and Lava Girl, The Matrix, Ghostbusters. Those are all sequels that are coming out or have come out in the last year that nobody asked for a sequel for. They just did it. And it can be hard to turn on the critical brain part towards these originals that I liked so much, because doing so runs the risk of just feeling jaded about everything you enjoy and consume all the time. And that's exhausting. In the words of the great art scholar Jenny Nicholson, I think the worst thing that a franchise ending can do is make you feel kind of stupid and embarrassed for being so excited about it in the first place. I wanted to end this video on a high note by reviewing some cereal. It's the official Space Jam: A New Legacy cereal. This was a limited edition cereal that's been sitting in my cabinet for a little bit now, but it doesn't expire for another year. So let's try it out. You ever have the cereal Kix? It's like a round corn puff cereal. It gets soggy kind of easily. Its flavor could be described as lightly sweetened in that there really is no other flavor than a little bit of corn syrup. And I think this cereal reminds me a lot of that. It's better in some aspects than that one because this one at least has some different interesting colors. I like the purple color here. It's got marshmallows, which gives it a bit more flavor, which is nice. Overall, I think the taste is pretty unremarkable. I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna enjoy it while I do, but this isn't gonna be something that I wanna buy again, and I'm gonna be hungry in an hour maybe. And honestly, I can't think of a better metaphor for the Space Jam franchise as a whole. Anyway, what did you think of A New Legacy? Were you as underwhelmed or overwhelmed or just whelmed as I was? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more takes like this, please subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to give me all of your money, feel free to do so. My name is Kyrie, and until next time, live well and stay alive. There's probably something else to be said about the world of children's entertainment being so large now to the point where like even just okay or mediocre movies are no longer worth your attention. I'm not gonna finish this. I'm gonna get something else. See you next time.